Hello everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. Hope you're all having an amazing day. We're starting off, I don't know why I'm saying we're starting off, it's Puzzle Rush Sunday, which means we're doing puzzles, not playing a game. I'm feeling very good today. Obviously my speech is not up to standard, but hey, since when did we watch chess for words? I don't know what I'm on about. We're doing puzzles and we're going to get 60. I'm telling you now, we're going to get 60 on the Puzzle Rush. It's just a fact. I can't help it. It's a fact. You know, we're going to get 60 and we're going to smash every single puzzle. We're not going to have any troubles at all. In fact, we're not even going to lose any lives. That's how confident I am today. Yes. Okay, I'm already stuck. I'm already stuck. I think we just take this, yeah. And then we go there and win the rook. Perfect. It's fine. I said we're not having any troubles and we're not. We're still fine. We're still fine. We got it in the end. It took a few seconds longer, but that is not any real problem. The bishop does not have time to cover the pawn, and we just promote our queen there. This is just checkmate. Bosh, bosh. This one's quite cool, actually. You check the king, and they have to defend the rook. The only way to defend the rook is to go upwards. Then we give another check and skewer the king and the rook. Boom, boom, bosh, pow. Ooh. That's interesting as well. We can't take this because then they take, so we just go cover promotion square and then take the promotion. We have a check. If I can draw an arrow, we have a check, and then the king goes over there, and then we could check again, and then mate seems about right. Boom, boom, pop. And the bishop covers that square as well. We take with the rook, not the bishop, so it's actually checkmate. We can take this. Takes their mate. Bosh. We have a fork here if we want it. They have nothing else. Yeah, no, we just do that. We'll trade off the queens and then take the free piece. Thank you very much. Got to be a bit careful there. I thought I almost misclicked. We can just take this with check. Then go there. And then we could also take the rook, potentially. But either way, we're taking this knight with check. Do we go there? There. Yeah. Boom, boom. And we'll take the rook there. Thank you very much. This is just mate with the king, forcing the king into the corner. Boom. The king is very, very weak on this light squares. So we just need something to check. And we can just go check there. They block a few times, but there's nothing they can actually do to stop it. This is quite nice. You take the bishop here with check, king takes, and then you fork the rook and the king. After all of that, this knight's covered by the pawn, so you don't have to worry about that. Perfecto. What do we have? We have check here. Then when the king goes in the corner, we have check, and then the king goes down, and then we have check. They push the pawn, but the pawn's covered by the bishop, so we just go check. King up, then mate. That's overly complicated, but it works. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. Thank you. We really want to promote this pawn. We could just trade down here, but the proximity of this pawn to the promotion square is not ideal. So what we're going to do is block the rook from being able to take this pawn. They can give us a check, but because of these two pawns here, they can't actually give us any more checks, so that's all good. They decide to trade off. We get the queen and win the game. We have a check here. We also have a check here. Which one's better? They have this g3 escape square, so we want to cover that at the same time. It's not vital to cover this because the rook already covers that, which means this check is going to be better. Also checkmate. Thank you very much. Bishop b4 here looks good because there's a pin on the knight and the rook. The knight goes there. Seems annoying. Takes, rook takes, then what? Or we could just go rook e1 is probably better. Because then we're threatening to take. We're pinning that way. And then we can add another attacker on this way. Yeah, better, better, better. And then we just win a free piece. Thank you very, very much. Check here is just mate. Thank you. We have a check here we can do. We have a check here we can do. I think this one's... Oh, actually, no, because the knight covers that. Interesting. We take this, then knight takes, and then check. Is that not just exchanging stuff? Is that not just exchanging stuff, though? Potentially. Potentially is just exchanging stuff. We go here, actually. We do actually go here. Knight takes, pawn takes with check is important to see. They have to move, and then the knight's not covering this bishop anymore. If they decide to move the king, then we just take their rook with the bishop. All good. That little check there is very important to see. Very, very important to see. We have mate here, supported by the bishop. Thank you. We have a check here, which is just mate. You know, the king side is very weak against dealing with this diagonal. They have to have the knight here already, or they have to be able to play g3. If not, it's practically the two-move mate from the starting position. But a few more things moved about, basically. Very similar stuff. We could take this. Not really. We could push this. And then push. That's a winning position, I'm pretty sure. But it doesn't seem very puzzly. Knight goes back and then push. I mean, that's definitely a winning position. I genuinely don't know if that would class as a puzzle, though. That's my problem. Takes. The problem is they could very easily do a counter pin. Because pins work both ways sometimes. They could very easily do a counter pin. Say if they take. If we take, they have knight e6. Or probably knight takes pawn is better. Because then if bishop takes, they take our rook. And if the rook moves, then we take their bishop. And subsequently their pawn as well. So we have to just push c5. Yeah. And then we'll push this and get a winning position out of that. We take this, but we have to be very careful. Because the pin is still on. So we have to be extremely careful with that. We have to take it, though. We can't not take it. Yeah. We just have to deal with that in the endgame. This is just mate. Supported by the bishop on c5. Bosh. We have a check here. King there. Takes. And it's sort of just a back rank mate. Slightly different, though. After knight takes, they have this escape square. But this pawn is covered by the rook, so there's no risk of taking. So we could just drop back and check again, which would be mate. So let's just run through this. Bishop g6, king's forced back to d8. Check is forced, knight takes, rook takes, king's forced up. Then the bishop comes back to f5, which is going to be checkmate. That's a nice puzzle. That's a nice puzzle. You've got to be able to see this hole and then the bishop coming back for mate. I really like that. This is just not quite the bishop covers. Do we go h5 then? How do they stop the threat on h2? I don't think they can. I don't think they can. They can move the rook over. There, rook over, check, king there. It's still mate no matter what. It's very tempting to go for g5 because that would be mate in one, but the bishop does cover. There is no point of taking with hopes of the mate on g2 because bishop just takes, which is very, very annoying. So we just go h5 then. Yeah, and there's nothing. You've just got to realize they have no real attack on us. They have nothing they can do about this. So it's you've got to realize you can waste a move not giving a check. It's not a forcing move that's necessary. We have this. Almost a back rank. They can block with the rook. Then we take. And the whole point is to get the king out of position of covering these 3 squares so we're safe to promote. And it's a close pawn race. But if the king does end up going on e1 after rook takes, then one of our pushes is going to come with check. So we get a free push basically. And we will win the pawn race. Yeah, and what you see there, the computer decided to go to d2 just to avoid that check, and they keep their hopes alive, although at the same time, not really. Cool. We can take this, and then rook takes, and then we win the exchange right back. Not even the exchange, we just go up a piece. Nice. We've got a discovered check. I love a good discovered check. So we are covering these 2 squares here, and we have a discover attack wherever we move the rook, basically. So we just have to find the correct square to move the rook, which is a harder question than it seems, I think. I think we're going for mate because they have so much more material than us. They're up a piece and a rook, I believe. So we really need to find checkmate here. Could go c2 and set up a second discovered mate. I don't, unfortunately, think that works. It could work, actually. King b1, also a move to consider. But then we don't even have rook c1 because the bishop covers c1. So that's actually relatively tricky to do. I'd love to be able to just move on to this d file. Unfortunately, I don't think that's possible. We could go rook e2. Rook e2 stops them going to d2, so they're forced back, at which point we go e1. Yes, that works, right? They can't go there. We're covering the d2 square. We can't really not cover the d2 square, to be fair. So all that's covered. They can't take this because they are in check from this bishop. Forced backwards to d1, at which point the bishops form a nice wall. And rook e1 is mate after they block, but the bishop is covering c1 like we saw. And you can't really go anywhere else because you've got to get in front of this bishop to be able to get to the back rank. And you can't go there because king would be able to take. So this is the only square you can go to. Then that's mate. Perfect. We go up to f6 here is really, really cool, actually. The king's a bit trapped. A bit trapped. So the problem is if we ever move the rook, then we lose control of this g5 square. And that's really important if we want to get a mate on h4. We also need to control this f5 escape square as well. Really tricky. Best way to do both of those, king f6. There are no checks they can do. There's no way to get out of this. If they try to push h4, it doesn't really change the outcome. Because we're controlling that square anyway. And this pawn's controlling the g3 escape square at the same time as well. They can do that, but that is irrelevant, I think. And they can't really prevent this. They are giving a good effort at it, though. They are giving a good effort at that, though. This looks very similar with rook, king f7, controlling both of these escape squares at the same time as controlling the f6 square. They can give us a check. That doesn't really matter. And they can't get the rook to the fourth rank to control the f4 square. So, pretty simple stuff. Thank you. Okay, we have a check, but the king can go to d3. But then we have a check, and the king can take that, which is annoying. We have a check here, but then the king just goes straight down and we don't have any check that way. There is this discovered attack on the rook once we take the pawn though, which is nice. So if they decide to go back, then we could go like rook b5 with an attack on both of these pieces. I don't think is stoppable. I don't think is stoppable. Actually, rook takes bishop works though. Ooh, that's actually annoying. That is actually annoying. And the problem is we go check here, they just take, and then after takes, they can take our rook because it's undefended. We could go bishop takes is an option, potentially. Then the rook moves somewhere. Then we go like check, king down. But then what are we doing? Not much. Not much. I think it's got to be takes. And we just have to find the correct continuation. I'm very much worried about this bishop. Ah, no, we have takes knight. We have takes knight. What am I doing? We have takes knight. And that covers the bishop at the same time. So there, king down. We said if you go there, we go... Oh, we can go check, maybe. And then the same thing happens. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. So king back. We go check on c8. King goes there. And then we get this with check. Which is a much nicer version. So they have to go down. If they go there straight away, we have, again, the same thing. They go there. That's what we said. Cool. So they go down then. Then we have this. They're forced to do king takes. If they go there, that doesn't look nice at all. So they do king takes to at least get some material. At which point we take the knight. And then we just up a piece. And yeah, nice. Nice, nice, nice. And we cover the bishop at the same time is the important thing. White to move here. This pawn, very, very tasty. Very, very, very tasty. This pawn, very scary. We are down a piece. I want to do takes. Takes, push. The problem is that they have c2, which is really annoying because this bishop's covering these squares and the pawn on c2 would be covering this square. So we can't actually get in to stop the promotion. So after takes, takes, we can do takes bishop. And if they push, then we go into c2, which gives us time. They would have to get their king around, at which point we push this. The king goes down again, and then we push again with check. Okay. What if they ignore? They can't ignore because that's check. And if they move the king, then we take the bishop. They go down, then it's a pin, and we'll sacrifice the rook for the pawn. Yeah, no, that's sorted. Then we have to take the bishop. It's important to note that the king cannot stop this pawn. It's not close enough to get in the pawn box. See, if we draw a box around this pawn, going to the baseline, the king cannot step in that box in time. So we have time to take the bishop. Slow move, but necessary. Otherwise, they would be able to stop everything. Doesn't look like we have any worthy attack other than maybe rook g8. Seems nice, actually. They have bishop check. We would just take that. There is some worries. There is some worries of takes a7 and then coming down for this rook. I don't think they have time. And this is where you really need to calculate this. So you go g8. If they go g3... You could alternatively go f8, which is threatening the immediate mate. They still go g3. Yeah, g3 is a good move for them. G3 is a good move for them. We could go e8 as well, threatening takes with the threat on the rook. Where does the bishop go? The bishop goes there. Then we have potential of rook e2. But the bishop is still covering g2, so there's no real threat of takes, actually, which is annoying. The bishop could alternatively go to c6 as well, which is unhittable, basically. Which is also very, very annoying. So it seems like f8 might be our best bet, but g3 seems to stop a lot of those threats. Yeah. Yeah. It does. It does. F8, G3. We could hit. We could hit the bishop on E2, which allows piggies on the 7th if the bishop hides. And then that seems very scary for them. The problem is, if they go G3, by the way, then we have bishop E5. Seems nice. The problem is they have bishop D3. Loses control over this rook, but also threatens our rook at the same time. So if we can get an intermezzo there, that would be lovely. That would be very, very nice. We could just do check and then take the rook. I can't say for sure that that's winning, though. I really can't say for sure that that's winning. Yikes. Do we have d5? Do we have d5? d5 completely severs ties to the rook. So if pawn takes, then we just take the rook. If bishop takes, then we sack the bishop like we wanted. Pawn takes and we take the rook. I'm very happy with d5. Yes. Very happy with that. That's a nice find. En passant here looks beautiful. Looks really, really nice. I think it's just mate, right? I think the trick is just remembering en passant exists. Yeah. We have a check here. Looks really nice as well. The problem is the queens are sort of cancelling each other out, which gets rid of a lot of our checks after pawn takes. If king takes, then this is mate. Pawn takes, I'm struggling. We have very few checks. Then again, we win a pawn. Again, doesn't seem particularly puzzly. Alternatively, queen e1, threatening queen h1 mates. Seems really nice. So do we take this first? Because the problem is if they take, they have the escape square on g3. Also not really an escape square. Because we have there, which is mate. If they take here, how does that differ? How does that differ? Do they have a queen c2 then? I don't know which one comes first or if it even matters. It has to matter. Usually puzzles do very much matter about move order. So I'm really trying to be accurate here. I think the answer is queen e1. I think the answer is queen e1 at some point. That is one of the moves. Yeah. Yeah, queen e1 has to be the idea. Whether it's the first move or not is another question. Because I don't think this matters. Like, that's still mating, right? That's still mating. If we take first, do they have some sort of magical escape? I don't think they do. I don't think they do, so why does it particularly matter? Ah, do they go g4? Is that a move they can do? Ah, g4's tricky. G4 is tricky. Because then after check, they have this. Then they have f4 as an escape as well. So we just go queen e1 first. Yes! Yes! Accurate. Accurate. Very, very accurate. Love to see it. We have a check here. And the question is, does that lead to mate or not? Bishop blocks we just take. Supported by the bishop. Lovely. King goes down. We have check, I guess. Forcing king down. Then we have a check again if we want it. Which is just mate, actually. Which is just mate. Because the knight's covering c3. Yeah. And if the king goes there, that's just mate. There. Check. There. Mate. Covered, 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 covered. I don't think it changes after bishop blocks. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. I feel like things are going to start getting tricky. We have this. And we have a bit of a takes train on our hand. You know how much I despise / love take trains. I think they're very cool, but also very, very annoying to calculate. Takes, 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 takes. We could take the rook. We could take the knight. Knight comes with check, so I'm inclined to take that. King over there. What's the material count here? We have a knight, a bishop, and 2 rooks. They have 2 rooks and a knight. Good for us, right? Good for us. If we were to take the rook, takes, 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 takes. Our knight gets trapped and they save their bishop. Our knight's trapped and they save their bishop. So we have to take the knight. We can't be greedy and take the rook. Is key. Is key. And that's a good rule of thumb. I think if you are a decision between getting an exchange or keeping the piece, keeping the piece is probably better because it's 3. So an exchange is a 2-point difference. Being up a piece is a 3-point difference. So it might seem better taking the rook. But if you actually look at the numbers, keeping the piece is 3 versus 2, you know, it's better. We have a check here. Seems obvious, right? With mate. I guess the puzzle is king there. King there we have check. Which forces the king up. So you just got to learn to play this intermezzo, right? Intermezzo check. It's not really an intermezzo. But I guess you could call it that. Yeah, this check is the key. This check is the key. It's very tempting to rush, but they have way too many pieces that can block. So you just got to throw in the check, and then you get the mate that you wanted. Check seems dubious, but also nice. Then you have check. Oh, no, you go check there is way nicer. Way, way nicer. So takes, takes, check. King in the corner. Check, mate, right? Yeah. Boom. Boom. Checkmate. Okay. We have this. We have this. Bishop there seems nice. I mean, how do they stop that? How do they stop that? They go queen there, right? Or queen there works as well. Maybe they can stop that. Maybe they can. Okay. We can also just go queen e4. Looks really nice as well. Not queen e4, bishop e4. Threatening to just take the rook, right? Take the rook, castles. Thing is, they can't castle because the knight is only defended by the king, so they can't move the king away. Otherwise, we just go up a piece. So this seems the obvious, yeah. And then you just take the free rook. Thank you very much. We have a discovered with the knight and the bishop. We can win the exchange, or we can win the piece. Oh, very fitting. Very, very fitting. Which one's better? Or are we going for mate with this rook here? That is another very valid question. If we can cover this square, I would love to. But the problem is this bishop also does that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if we go for this first, the king comes out, and then we don't have this because of the bishop. We could go here and hope for this check, or we go knight g5, mystery option. Oh, I very much like that. Discovered check, so the king has to move to g1. At which point, so the way I found this was, you've got, I was looking at these two checks to try and hit the king there. The problem is, A, you're blocking in the rook, and B, you're not dealing with the check that you need on f1. The other check we could go to is h3. How do we get to h3? Through g5. And the reason g5 that works is because you're not actually intruding this rook's path, so you don't need to actually do a check on f1. You're not intruding the bishop's path. So it's actually some sort of smothered mate. So you go to g5. The king, it's also stopping rook back to g2, which would be very annoying as well. King goes to g1, then knight goes to h3. Covered. It's just checkmate. What can I say? Yeah, and we take that with the bishop. We don't take that with the knight because we want to keep going with the checkmate. Thank you very much. Puzzle 51. Oh my gosh, no mistakes yet. Fingers crossed. Okay. I mean, takes... Oh, no, takes, queen takes. But then takes, right? Seems obvious. Takes, bishop takes, check. And then takes. Seems also very obvious. Is that it? Queen takes, you just take the knight for free. And then takes after the rook moves. I think that just works. Obviously, they can't take with the knight because of the pin on the queen. If the queen takes, we take this knight. If the bishop takes, then we take this with check. The bishop goes back to block. If, by the way, this bishop blocks, we still take this because it's pinned. And then takes, queen takes, we take this bishop. So this just works, right? This just works. If the queen blocks, we take this intermezzo. And we just get a piece out of it, basically. Puzzle number 52. Oh my gosh. We have a check here. Looks nice. Forcing the king back here. It's a forcing move, so I'm inclined to play it. The rook goes here. Forces the king back to one of these, at which point this seems nice. If the king goes back here, they can block here, at which point check. King goes back and takes, right? That seems easy. Easy simples. Perfect. Wow. Okay. Oh, this is tricky. This is tricky. I think we just go g4, c4, right? c4. If the bishop goes back to f5 to try cover the c2 square, we can just take this and promote this, right? If pawn takes, and then the bishop comes back, we have check, and then we could just do this one because this pawn's not in the way. There. Bishop takes. Seems dubious. Seems dubious, actually. Takes, pawn takes. Takes, bishop takes. Yeah, that doesn't work. Okay. Okay. This is tough. Oh, do we throw in an a4? A4. Oh, ooh, ooh. That could be nice. Throw in an a4 just to distract this pawn. Then we go c4. They have to take, basically. They could go back to f5. But then we take, right? So a4 takes c4. If they decide to take this, then push. King goes somewhere down so to avoid check. Then we push again. This is a queen next move. Unstoppable. Same if they try to push. If they decide to take, push there, bishop takes, pawn takes, then the same thing happens. We're faster because we have a check. And if they decide to move the bishop, then we just take this pawn and then, yeah. So a4, very, very lovely move. You ignore that, then you play c4, and you get the queen. That was nice. That was nice. I can't even deny that that was nice. Okay, we have a variety of things we can do here. Check up here. Possible. I don't like the king going there, though. We have a check here. Defends the pawn at the same time. Then we have a check here. Seems really nice. And then we have a check here, which seems really nice as well. The king goes there. Then we have queen there. Looks beautiful. Looks very beautiful. Yeah, that's got to be mating, right? You're not going to take with the pawn ever because you want this to be defending each other. They go down. You have check, and because the bishop and pawn are defending each other, the king can't go there. If it goes up, then again you have the queen coming in. If it goes there, that's actually not defended. Ooh! Queen to c4! Queen to c4! No! Oh, that's so beautiful. Takes. King down to d3. Knight to e5 check. The king goes up to e2. Covered. The only squares it can go to are these two light squares. Queen to c4 check. If the rook blocks, then you just take it, right? Pawn takes. The bishop comes in. The rook takes. Bishop takes. Mate. Oh, the king goes back to d1 then. King goes back to d1. No. Oh, that's so close. That's so close. Oh, no, that's disappointing. It's not just bishop takes pawn, is it? That's so boring. That's so boring. I really wanted that to work. There, king back. Oh, I really, really wanted that to work. Rook blocks is just so annoying. Pawn takes, bishop takes, rook blocks, allows the king to go there. And then you've got nothing. So after this, you just go bishop takes, threatening mate. You could go for a perpetual there, but I think you can get more than a perpetual. There. Oh, so close. So close to glory. Man. I mean, it's got to be bishop takes, right? It has to be. King down, check. He's too nice to ignore. King goes back, actually, is a line we've not looked at yet. King goes back, we probably just do queen takes, right? With unstoppable mate there. Right, yeah, that works. Yeah, oh, that's so close to being one of the best moves ever. You just do bishop takes. Unfortunately, I think you do. Anyway, we'll do this. Yeah. Oh, they go straight back. Ah, straight back is something I did not see. Did not see. I'd love to get rid of this bishop with the queen fork. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, this does not work now because they have back to f3 because the knight is no longer there. Oh, that's such a shame. That's such a shame. Okay. We could just do bishop takes. I mean, you get the exchange at least, right? Maybe even more than the exchange. They have no checks. Actually, they have a rook check. Very annoying. Extremely annoying, actually. We can't still do this, can we? No, because the same thing happens. So we just take the pawn. This is coming either way, so we might as well save the bishop, right? We could do queen takes. Queen takes, the king might be escaping over here. But then, yeah. I think we do bishop takes pawn. Bishop takes pawn, rook check. Bishop takes. We don't even have to do bishop takes. We can just go king down. And then what do they do? Because the rook's no longer here to block check then. No. Ooh. First one down. Okay, that's fine. Can we get to 60 here? I really want to do takes. I really want to do takes. King takes, rook check. King down, queen there. I mean, what's not to love, right? What's not to love about that? I don't think you can stop it. We're going to do it. Bosh. Intuition. There we go. Rook to f5. We did not calculate that. We didn't calculate anything, to be fair. Oops. Oops. What do we do? What do we do? This is a great question. I'd love the answer. Please. Okay. Okay. We could go rook f3. And if takes, how do they stop? Oh, because takes knight. It's annoying. This is what happens when you don't calculate stuff. This is what happens when you don't calculate stuff. Rook h3. The problem is, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah, they're threatening that as well. They're threatening bishop takes as well if we move this rook. So maybe we just go rook h3 and live with that. Live with the knight just here. Live with the knight just there, right? Maybe. We can't really do anything else. I don't think there's any other tricks. We just win a pawn out of it. If we go knight like g5 and try save the knight, then rook takes, and then what? You know, then what? I still would like to sacrifice the knight, I think. Would I? It doesn't really work when the king has escape squares. So that we just need to try save the knight then. It really does not work when you have escape squares. No. Oh, no. Our dream of 60. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Okay. Okay, we can do this one. For sure, we can do this one. We've got a pawn we're trying to promote. That's that's about it. We're in check at the minute. So we have 3 options. We can go up towards the pawn. We can't go there, which is smart because they just have that. Can we though? We theoretically could allow that, which is insane. Because bishop there, we take their rook, they take our rook, and then they can't stop our pawn. Is that actually the way to do it? That's insane. That actually seems like a good move. Rook goes down, and then you take the bishop. That's actually an insane move. No! Oh, no. I thought that was smart. I thought I was being smart there. I'd love to see what's wrong with those 3. I really would. 54, a new record. Wow. I'm super, super happy with that. 6 puzzles away. 6 puzzles away from getting to 60, which is like my goal, by the way. If I've not said 6 puzzles. That's all we need. Let's have a look. This one is wild. This one's really, really wild. Yeah. We took this, right? It's not that. That doesn't work. It's not knight check. It is knight check. Oh, because you win the queen. Oh. Wow, it's a discovered fork. What? It's a fork with a discovered attack? That's wild. That's really cool. I didn't even consider that. I just completely eradicated any knight moves from my options. Wow, that's beautiful. Could you get check? The queen's undefended. It's a fork, so they have to deal with that. At which point it's a discovered attack. That's beautiful. That's really, really nice. I want to see these lines. So the king goes down. You've got to do 95, right? 95 check. At worst, you get the queen again. Yeah, you just do takes. Okay, I really wanted to do queen takes c4, or not even take c4, queen c4. With the idea that this is so close to being made, really, really close. But unfortunately, I have rook d3, only move. At which point they make the escape square on d1. Oh man, that would have been beautiful. That would have been really, really nice. Just not meant to be, unfortunately. Just not meant to be. Okay, that one. If I wasn't so dead set on these diagonal checks, maybe I would have seen that. Like if you gave me this position as a fresh puzzle, I would have seen that, I think. But the context of me trying to get a mate and forcing to try get a mate distracted me from the objectivity of the puzzle, I think. Next one. By the way, that was a 2889 rated puzzle. What do we have here? A 2940. I mean, this is the obvious move, right? Because the problem is, if they take, which we can analyze afterwards, it's mating. Rook f5 is a nice try, making the escape square for the king, and sort of trapping the knight as well. So I don't know what to do. The move is g4. G4, and you just why? I wouldn't even consider G4 in a million years. So I'll show you the line if takes. You go Rook H1, H3, sorry. Oh, you've got Bishop H6. Oh, and then you just attack the pin on the bishop, right? You just attack the pin on the bishop. And they can't defend that. So you at least get the piece back, potentially even mating as well. Yeah. Yep. And then G4. And the problem is, where is your rook going? You go back, you're in a very similar position, which isn't nice at all. It can't go here, here, here. If it goes here, then it's saying, oh, queen takes G6, it's saying. You let the knight hang, because if queen takes knight, oh, then you have this maybe. Oh, yeah, with king takes, oh no, you take the queen first. Take the queen first, and then they're having trouble with that. They're having trouble with that. If takes rook, then you have f takes. Oh, and you've just replaced the rook basically, which is really nice. Yeah, wow, that's nice. And then the move that happened was queen takes, which just looks to trade off, but at the end of it, you go up the exchange, I think. Is it up the exchange? Yeah, they get your knight. You get their rook. Yeah, I think that's up the exchange. Okay, yeah, G4 is a nice move. That's a hard one to spot because you're trying to go for the attack. Here, I really thought G6 was the move. That's a really nice move to make. I don't know why G6 isn't the move, to be honest. Not go up, you go down. Wild. See, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't see why I can't go to G6. You're going to have to explain me. Rook H3. Ah, Rook H3 covers the bishop at the same time as threatening that. Because if you've got that, then that. The whole point is that they have this. Where you trade off. And what I calculated very poorly, obviously, was... Oh, we've gone too far. King G6, rook back to H1, at which point takes. Then they don't have this. Rather than pushing straight away, at which point they would, you take the bishop first. They cover the bishop at the same time with rook H3. Which is smart. Really smart. Yeah. So the correct move was king goes to f4. Why can't you go to f6? Because bishop e4. Bishop e4, you can do this. Rook f5 check. Oh, no, you can't. Wow. Wow, that's beautiful. Because if you go to G6 to stop the rook going to there, you've walked into the discovered attack. So they have rook F8, which is super nice. King H6, take the queen. Then you just down a piece, which is wild. And if you go back there, obviously you just have this, which is even worse. Even worse. So that leaves you with the last option, which we saw of going down to f4, which hits the bishop at the same time and cuts off the king. The rook's still cut off from going to g5 to cover this. It's important to note the rook can't go to h8 either because the pawn's covering that. If the rook goes behind, then you take this with the rook and then you block the path and you just promote. Really nice. Yeah, so the bishop goes to d5 as a last-ditch attempt to cover the g-pawn. Takes, and then you're left with a winning but playable endgame. You know, there's still a lot in it. You've got to prove that. But yeah, wow, that's super nice. and that was a 29.98 rated puzzle. I don't know how they come up with these elos for puzzles. I really don't. But this has been a long enough video as it is. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.